Hello everybody, welcome back to another session of the Hopry. My name is Mark Starr, and today it's Wednesday, so this is part 2 of my dedication to Hops Week or Hop Week here on the Hopry. So I wanted to share another really highly acclaimed IPA with you. This one is called the Ballast Sculpin IPA. It comes from San Diego. So the fact that it comes from San Diego, I'm imagining this is going to have a lot of those bright, citrusy, sunshine in a bottle hop characteristics. At least that's what I'm hoping. I've heard a lot of really good things about this beer, and so I got one of these from a good friend John out in San Diego. John, thanks again for this beer. But anyway, wanted to get it on the show ASAP, because it is an IPA. I've had it in the fridge since it showed up, and trying to drink it fairly quickly so that it doesn't sit. But part of the reason why I wanted to do an IPA week is that I do have several IPAs in the refrigerator that I've been meaning to get rid of and to get on the show. So what better beer for this week than the Ballast Sculpin IPA? I think really when people talk about West Coast IPAs, San Diego is one of the first places that I think of. Southern California, even on up to, where Russian River is, which is like the Santa Rosa area, which is, just north of San Francisco. I guess really the whole coast is known for making some of those really bright, fresh, citrusy sort of IPAs. Now, this is not an Imperial IPA. It's just a regular IPA that clocks in right at 7%. So I'm imagining this is probably not going to be that huge of a beer. I was looking at the label before we started here, and it says that this is has bright aromas of apricot, peach, mango, and lemon. So that's a pretty good sign. Really excited to try it. So let's go ahead and talk about the color first. This one is pretty much a pale golden yellow color. It's slightly hazy, which is fairly common for an IPA. Usually when they throw a ton of hops in there, it tends to make their beers a little bit more hazy. Now the head on this one is really nice. In fact, it's very soapy, but when I say soapy, I mean that the bubbles are very tiny. So they're really clinging together, much like a foam would. In fact, and I don't want to stick my finger in it, but if I were to pull some of that off onto my finger, you would see it would be almost like a meringue. So it's very meringue-like in its consistency. So, along the lines of some of the other IPAs that you get on the West Coast, so like the Lagunitas Hop Stupid, the Pliny the Elder, they're all roughly the same color. So with that said, let's go ahead and get the old nostrils down into the glass and see if we can smell some San Diego in here. Yeah. Really love the way this one smells. This smells a lot like the what was the IPA I did not too long ago? The Firestone Walker Union Jack IPA. This really kind of reminds me a lot of that one. It's very fruity. Lots of citrus, lots of mango, definitely some peach, but very ripened peach, like almost over ripened peaches. I mean, this thing is very fragrant. You get a little bit of the pininess in there, which I think is fairly common as well for your West Coast IPAs. I'll just say that this is West Coast through and through. There should be no surprise that this is a West Coast IPA. If you put on a blindfold and smelled this one, you would clearly know that this came from California. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a sip. Damn fine beer, if I do say so myself. This is everything you want from an IPA, and actually it almost feels more like an Imperial IPA. The only thing that I think is probably keeping this from not being an Imperial IPA is probably the amount of malt that they add to a beer. Now, I have seen double IPAs that were around 7, 7.5, and then just regular IPAs that are 7, 7.5. So I'm not, you know, completely clear on what the distinction is. So I think that this one would probably, well, it would easily satisfy, you know, either lover of those styles of beer. While it is an IPA, it really kind of hits you a lot heavier like an Imperial IPA. Really loving the bitterness on this one. You know, I think, for example, the Lagunitas Hop Stupid really kind of reminds me of this, but where that one's more malty, this one cuts way back on the malt, but then ups the bittering hops and the aromatic hops. So, you know, lots of aroma. There's a good amount of bitterness, maybe even approaching more of like the Double Trouble. You know, Founder's Double Trouble is one that I've not had on the show yet, but it's another really good example of an IPA or even an Imperial IPA. But it, much like even Stone, who's also from Southern California, they're known to have a lot more bitterness in their beers, and so that's kind of where this one sits. I would say, just for a frame of reference, it's you know, like the Firestone Walker Union Jack IPA with a bit more bitterness. So, but not quite as biting as you know, Stone Ruination or something like that. But well, guys, I hope you're enjoying this week of hops. I know I am. I know it was really fun for me to drink the McKellar 1000 IBU the other night, and this is another equally good beer that's making me really excited. And I think on Friday for you, I've got the Hair of the Dog Blue Dot Imperial IPA, which I'm very excited about that. I love Hair of the Dog. But anyway, going ahead to rate this one. I'm going to give this one maybe about a 94. I think a 94 is a really solid effort. I really love the intensity of the aromatic hops on here. I do like the bitterness, though I will tell you that it's almost approaching being too bitter, but I think in the end it's very well balanced. The aroma, the taste is very good. The color is very nice. The head is just sick. I mean, it just keeps coming back. You give it a gentle little swirl and it just comes right back to form. So in fact, if you go ahead and pour the rest of this in here, you'll see that almost immediately it's going to bump up to, you know, maybe 3 fingers worth of head there. So really enjoy the beer. I'm going to go ahead and cut the camera off and finish it. But before I leave, I wanted to remind you to go to my website, thehopry.com. Leave me a comment. It's always nice to get good conversations on there. You'll notice now up here in the corner that I'm also on Facebook. So look for me on Facebook, and you know, we've got some discussion threads going on there as well. But anyway, leaving you with that one last final thought, which is fridge the hops. All right, guys, we'll see you on Friday. Bye. Dank. Dank but beautiful. Beautifully dank. That's what this beer is.